Hello again and welcome to the jungle once more. We're back in Malaya again. This is now scenario 5 of the Malayan campaign. This is another flank attack. You can see the previous scenarios 1 to 4 in the video list and the after action reports lists in this video. Another chain of command game with the Japanese pushing down on the Australians. If you watched the last after action report, you'll remember that the Australians actually won that scenario but took an absolute battering, and they actually lost their sergeant as well, Bluey Thompson, which was he's a real blow for them. He's one of their senior leaders and also was particularly brave in previous scenarios. So they've lost him. They've had to reorganise their forces because they also lost a section as well during a Japanese close assault, which wiped an entire section out. So they've had to reorganise their forces and fall back to their next position because they just couldn't stand it. So this is scenario 5. This is another flanking attack from the Japanese. What we'll do is we'll have a look at the table. I'll show you the positions, I'll show you the forces, and then let's crack on, see what happens here. So this is the table, looking from the Japanese aspect. They are heading down this central road here, which again they're still pushing down because this is basically the main road in this area that they're fighting through. So we've got a bit of a swampy river on this side, a bit of a continuation from last time, and also this time we have a very small rubber plantation, well, little Malayan farm as well in here, which may provide a little bit of cover for the Australians when they're defending, if they can get into the buildings. So that's what they'll probably be hoping to do. As I said again, this was a flanking attack. In the patrol phase, the Japanese came in from two sides. So they came in from this side over here, and also this back end over here as well. The Australians were concentrated in this area here. The Japanese have their jumping off points. They have one here in the river, or just by the side of the river. They also have another one. I've got to find them again. Well, they certainly have two up here. We'll have a look at these. So there's one here, further forward, and then one right to the back of the table as well. Their fourth one is up here, right in this back corner. The Japanese paid for ruse as part of their force supports, which means they were allowed to move one of their jumping off points further forward. So they shifted this one further forward this time, closer to the Australians. They're not going to be able to close down the Australian jumping off points very quickly because, learning from last time, the Australians have put two of their jumping off points here near the buildings. They've also buried another one back in here in the back of the jungle, and then their fourth is also over here in this jungle line here. So they've kind of got a bit of a line, front line running through there, but they don't want the Japanese to be basically breaking up their jumping off points straight away. So that's the table as it looks. This is all set up. You can see here there's a universal carrier and a burning truck. They're just there as decoration. As we're getting closer to the battalion lines of the Australians, some of their heavy equipment is now starting to appear on the roads that's broken down or been destroyed in air raids. So that's just there, just for a nice touch, a little immersion marker. Right, well, let's have a look at the forces and see where we're at. So here are our two forces. The Japanese took an absolute mauling in the last one, so again they've had to replace completely fresh new platoon that has come in. So this is the same as usual. We've got 3 rifle sections. Each of these has an LMG with 4 crew, and then 9 rifles and a junior leader in each one of these. So that's those. They also have their mortar section as well, which has 3 3-inch mortars, knee mortars with 4 crew and a junior leader. They also have their sergeants and their lieutenants. I've stopped naming them because these guys just keep coming in all the time. So these are just a completely fresh, nameless Japanese lieutenant and sergeant. They've also paid for the Type 95 Hargo tank again because they had enough force support. They've also paid, as I said previously, for the ruse, which they've used. They've also paid for a pre-game bombardment, which means that the Australians are going to be harder to actually bring on for the first turn of the game. They're going to have to roll 4, 5 or 6 if they actually want to deploy onto the field. So that's going to be a bit of a buggeration for the Australians straight away. Speaking of the Australians, as I said, they lost an entire section. So for their force support, they've paid for a new section, one fresh section. This will disappear at the end of this game anyway, whatever happens. But they had to split up what they had remaining into two sections here. So one of these has a submachine gun, several rifles, 6 rifles, I think, and 3 crew with the LMG, another LMG over here with 5 rifles and another submachine gun, and both of those are led by a junior leader. They have their boys anti-tank rifle, their 2-inch mortar, and also a boys anti-tank rifle and Lieutenant Asquith, who survived last time. They paid as part of their support for another boys anti-tank team because there's armour in the area, and also this extra section as well. So this at least boosts them back up to their full force strength as it did before. Slightly stronger with a couple of extra men here and here, but overall it's still up against a huge amount of Japanese over here. So anyway, with that in mind, let's start this game and crack on and see how well the Japanese do, or how well the Australians defend. So I've rolled for force morale. The Japanese, they got their maximum, so they're on 11, whereas the Australians have obviously taken Bluey Thompson's death pretty badly, and they've dropped all the way down to 8. So they're already under pressure, basically, even from a force morale point of view. But as we saw in the last game, that could change very rapidly. Well, this is a Japanese command roll. Let's get on with that. So what have we got? We've got a 6, which will do nothing on its own. 2 4s, which are 2 junior leaders, and 2 1s, which could be combined into sections or teams. Right, we'll have a think about that then. The Japanese have used the 2 to bring on a section, and also they brought on one of their senior leaders, the sergeants, with that section as well. They've jumped off from one. Closest jumping off. Because they're jungle fighters, they can deploy up to 9 inches away from any of their jumping off points. So they have done, and they brought themselves close to the Malay compound. However, they are just about 5 or 6 inches away from the Australian jumping off point, so they haven't closed it down. So the Australians can still use those ones, but they are closing in quickly. The Australians have got to get a unit on as quick as possible into that area. Okay, so the play turns over to the Australians, and remember they're under a barrage currently, so they're going to, if they want to bring anything on, they're going to have to roll for it. So let's have a look, see what they get anyway. So 6 is nothing. They get a 5, so they've at least got a chain of command point. So that's for their first one. So they've got a 2, a 1, and a 4. So that's a senior commander, a section, and a team, or a combination into a junior leader. Let's see what we can do with that. Right, the Australians are going to attempt to bring on a junior leader with one of their sections, combine the 2 and the 1, and ignore the 4 because they've only got 1 senior leader. So they actually need a 4, 5, or a 6 to bring it on. 6, so they've actually got it, so that's good. They're on the board at least. So the Australians combined and made a junior leader come on. So he's brought on a section, they got on. They are in this compound, in the Malay compound, and they're firing out of the windows. There's 3 windows, so they're using their LMG and a rifle, and then also 2 rifles from the other window, and then their SMG, and also because they're using their junior leader, he can add his 5 rounds rapid extra 2 dice to it as well. So in total we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 dice firing at the Japanese. They're all at 6 inches just on. So the SMG is also at close range, so they're needing 4, 5s and 6s to hit now for everything. The SMG, I'll roll them separate because they can re-roll up to half of their firepower. So we'll do the rifles and LMG first of all. So we've got, we're looking at 4, 5s and 6s, but the Japanese are in heavy cover because they're in the jungle. So that's 5 hits first of all, then we've got the SMG, and as I say, half of these can be re-rolled if they need. So that's another hit, and then 1 re-roll. That's a miss. So in total we've got 2, 4, 6 hits on the Japanese. There is a senior leader and a junior leader in there as well. So if there's any hits, it may be on those. So let's have a look, see what happens anyway. They need 6 to kill and 5 for shock because they're in heavy cover. That's absolutely nothing, no effect whatsoever. Right, so after the Australians achieving nothing in their turn, let's see what the Japanese do. Right, we've got 2 6s, so they are retaining the phase. And then we've got 3 2s, so that's 3 sections, so that's the entire force pretty much. Or they could combine one of those 2s and bring on a senior commander as well. But let's see what they do with those. So the Japanese have used all 3 sections, 3 2s, so they've brought on a section here behind the first section. This first section is opening fire. They've also brought on a third section in the jungle as well on the flank. Now these guys are firing into this building. They can only hit 6 of the Australians, but they are in hard cover. So they're hitting on a 4, 5 and 6, but there's 9 rifles and a box-fed LMG. So let's see what they get. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh dear, let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits. Now there are 2 teams in there because one of them was the rifle team and one of them was the LMG team. So 4 hits on the LMG, and there is actually only LMG that's firing out of the window, and then 4 hits on the rifles. So let's do the LMG first of all. So that's killed 2 of their crew. So they're down to 1 man and no shock. So let's just get that LMG out. So that's eliminated the Australian LMG because that was the thing firing out of the window. And then on the rifles, and there was 4 of these firing out of the windows. There's actually 5 of them, but one of them can't be hit. So that's 1 kill and 1 shock. So let's put that shock in there. That's for the rifles. And then we also have a kill. There is a junior leader in there as well, and he was directing them. So he was up front and firing. So let's just see if he's the one that's hit. On a 1 he is. No, he's not. So it's one of the rifles. So we'll just take out. Oh, sorry, there was an SMG guy in there. I'd forgotten, wasn't there? So let's just see if he's hit. Let's give him an equal chance. 1, 2. There's 4 men actually. If I roll a 1 or a 2, he's the one that's hit. Otherwise, it's just a rifle guy. No, it's one of the rifles. So we'll take out the rifleman as well. And so that's 3 kills they've taken already and a shock. Not going great so far. The Japanese retain the phase. So this is their second one. So we have a 6, which does nothing. They do get a chain of command points. So we'll put that up there. And then we also have a 4, which is a senior commander, and 2 1s, which is either a section or a two teams. So the Japanese use one of their sections to move forward, and then they also combined and made their senior leader activate these 2 sections. He's got the first one into close combat with the Australians here, so he's managed to move them forward just enough to get in, but the other guys behind didn't have enough movement to get in. They were stumbling through the jungle. So I've worked out the dice. The Japanese in their first round, well, in every round are rolling 25 as it stands. The Australians in their first round are rolling 19 dice. That will drop to 11 if they survive, if they don't take any kills. So let's just see what happens. 5s and 6s are kills, with 6 being shock. Now there are really 2 teams in there, but one of them is only made up of 1 man at this point. So I'm going to really just combine them all together because they've lost their LMG anyway. So he's in there. So we'll see how many. We'll mix them together as teams. So this is not looking great for the Japanese so far. So let's have a look. 1, 2. We'll take out the hits. 4. That's 4 kills, and 3 of which cause shock. So they've already got 1 shock anyway, so that's going up to 4. So they might not actually win this. And 4 kills, we said. One of those is possibly the junior leader. So let's just roll to see if it's him. 1 to 4, he's hit. No, he's not, so it's just 4 of the riflemen. There is an SMG guy in there, we'll take him out this time. He survived well enough, so let's say the SMG guy and these 3 rifles here. So there's only 3 men left in there now, including their junior leader. But they're rolling 19 back, so let's just get that together. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 and another 5, and then there's our other 4. So same again, 5s and 6s, 6s causing shock. So let's see, that's a lot better than the Japanese. That one's cocked, so I'm going to re-roll that. So it's a 1. So we'll get rid of the misses. And there is also a junior and a senior leader as well in the Japanese teams there, so they may also be hit. So how many kills is that? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kills, of which 2, 4, 5 are causing shock. So let's get that shock on straight away. The Japanese don't have any teams in their sections, they're just sections. So they take 5 shock and 7 kills, which means that both the junior and the senior leader are hit as well then. So that will be 2 and then 5 of the others. So we'll take 3, 4, and then we have a cap to show 1 more. 5, so they've still got their LMG. But both the junior and the senior leader are also hit as part of that, so because they can't roll less than more than 7. So the junior leader, let's see what happens to him. 1 is killed outright. A 6 is he is wounded, and his initiatives are now reduced down to 1. If he's wounded again, he's killed. That is a bad thing's happen for the Japanese. The senior leader, he is also wounded as well, and his activations are reduced by 1 as well. So that's 2 senior leaders, a junior leader and a senior leader are both hit. The difference between numbers 4 and 7. So the Japanese were defeated by 3, so they run away 12 inches facing away from the enemy, and also add 2 points of shock on each team. So that takes them up to 7 shock. They run away. They also get their hit on the junior leaders as well. So we'll do the bad things happen as well rolls. So let's try those out first of all. See if this reduces their morale. They do get a -1 on this because they've got high morale anyway. So junior leader wounded first of all. 4 minus 1 is 3, so that's -1 point off their morale. And then his senior leader is also wounded, so -1 on that. That's a 3, that's a 2, so in total that's -2 points. And they also fall back 12 inches facing away from the enemy. Ooh, so not great that, really, for the Japanese. So they're all the way back here. Everybody going with them. The Australians in there are now pinned because their shock is higher than their number of figures, 4 against 3. So they're going to have to reduce that or suffer the consequences. The Japanese, on the other hand, 2, 4, 6, they're still okay with their shock. So if they can reduce that in future turns, they can at least come back into the fight. But yeah, that didn't go particularly well for the Japanese. Well, with that turn being a bit of a shock, let's go back to the Australians, see what they do in this turn. Going to need to get some people on the table as soon as possible. They have got 3 chain of command points, so that takes them up to 4 at least. And they have a 3, which is a junior leader, and a 6, which does nothing on its own. So they might have to try to bring on another section, but they're still under that barrage, so it's going to be a bit difficult. Okay, we've had a think. They're going to try and bring on another section of infantry into the compound. They need a 4, 5 or a 6 to do it because of the barrage. This is their junior leader, so they have actually brought them on, so that's good. So they're able to take up positions in the compound. They've deployed this second section that's just come on into here. This is one of the original ones. This was the new one that had been added for the force options. So to be honest, I'm not that fussed about losing them. So they brought these guys on. They're sticking their LMG out the window. They're also firing with an SMG as well, which we'll get to re-roll. So we'll try. We're looking at 4, 5s and 6s to hit. First of all, so that's 5 hits. This is the second fresh Japanese section, and let's just check that LMG range. Oh, they're just over, so these need 5s and 6s to hit, but they do get the re-roll. So yeah, they've hit with 1 and they get the re-roll. Oh, they hit with both of them, so that's 2, 4, 6, 7 hits on the Japanese. The section isn't broken into teams, so it's all hits on the section. 6 are kills, 5 is shock, and there is only one junior leader in there, so they've got 2 kills, no shock. So one of those may be the junior leader. Let's have a look. 1 or 2 it is. No, it isn't, so it's 2 of the riflemen. The Japanese seem to be taking a bit of a hammering already, so let's see what they can do in this next turn. They need to get some of these men moving forward. So we've got 2, 3, 4s, 3 4s, a 3 and a 2. So we've got a section, junior leader, and then 3 senior commanders. They could bring on a senior commander and reduce shock and get that other section right back into the action again. That might be a good idea. Alright, well, let's see what they do with that. Right, the Japanese have done a couple of things here. First of all, they brought on their tank with the junior leader, brought in some heavy artillery. They've also brought on one of their senior commanders, well, their main senior commander, Lieutenant. He's arrived, and him and the other senior commander, the sergeant, have reduced their shock on the second section over there right down to 1, but they are way back in the jungle at this point. They're then going to use their 2 for their section to fire at these, hopefully to either destroy them or pin them even further or break them, to cause some more damage on the Australian, well, any damage on the Australian morale at this point. So let's give that a roll. So we're looking at 4, 5s and 6s to hit. We withdraw all of our misses. That looks like 2, 4, 6 hits, and there's a junior leader in there and also 2 riflemen, so we're looking at 6 as a kills, 5 is shock. So what have we got? Nothing, not a single thing. The Australians live to fight another day. If nothing else, this Australian defence is a tenacious one. Let's have a look what they've got. They've got senior commander, junior leader, and 3 sections. Unfortunately, they can't combine any of those. Oh, they could combine that into, well, they've already got a senior commander, so they don't need to. But that is quite good, because that means they will be able to activate pretty much everything they've got on the table and bring some other stuff on as well. Right, this turn the Australians have brought on Asquith, who has reduced shock in this section right down to 0. Then they've also used their junior leader to fire with these guys, firing at the Japanese in front of them, and then they've also used one of their sections to fire with these chaps over here, again are the Japanese. They tried to bring on another section, but were unable to. I rolled for it and they got a 2, so they're still under a barrage, so they were unable to actually bring anybody on. So the first ones are firing with 4 dice, because they're using the 5 rounds rapid, and 2 rifles. So we're looking at 5s, 4s and 6, 4, 5, 6s, so that's 2 hits from them. So let's check those. So again, 6 is kills, 5 is shock. That's 2 nothing. Then we go over to the other guys pointing out of the other building, and there's 8 of these because they've got the LMG and a couple of rifles. So these are firing on again 4, 5s and 6s. That's only 2 hits. So 6s are kills, and shock was be a 5, so that's nothing as well. So again, another round of very poor firing from the Australians. Back with the Japanese, they definitely need to get some of their sections moving up now. So let's see what happens. We've got 2 4s, so that's 2 seniors, junior, a junior, and a section. So that's actually a pretty good spread for what they need. So we'll get some of these moving. Maybe even there might be a close assault in this. Well, that's a pretty good roll for the Japanese. So what they've done is completely reduced shock over here with their 2 senior leaders and brought this section slightly forward. Used one of the junior leaders to bring the tank forward. Unfortunately, it hasn't got a clear line of sight yet into the compound. It will do when it gets down to this T-junction. Used their section to bring forward the other section that's in the jungle over there. And then they're using their final junior leader role to fire with this section yet again at these guys in the compound, where Asquith is also at as well. So we're looking at 4 5s and 6s to hit. They could possibly do a close assault, but they would be up against quite a lot of dice, so I'm just going to have them fire at the moment to try and wipe out that section and get some bad things happen rolls going. So let's just see. We're looking at 4 5s and 6s hits here. That was a 4, so that's a 2, 4, 6, 7 hits. That seems to be about the average number, doesn't it? 6 are kills, 5 is shock. So let's just see what we've got. So we've got 1 kill, 1 shock, and nothing else. So let's just get that shock on there so we know. And see who it is. 1, it's the junior leader. No. 1, it's Asquith. No. So it's one of the rifles. So they are slowly getting pecked away at by the Japanese. Can the Australians hold off? As they currently seem to be doing. Well, let's see what they get for their roll. So 6 is doing nothing on its own. We have 2 1s, which are teams, a 2, which is a section, and a 4, which is a senior commander. So a reasonable spread, so they might be able to bring on another section at least if they combine some of these scores. Okay, so the senior commander Asquith, well actually what we've done is brought on, we tried with the 2 1s to bring on 2 teams, which were the boys anti-tank rifles. Only one of them arrived because of the Japanese barrage. They've gone into the pig pen. Then the Lieutenant Asquith has reduced shock over here on this team, and he's getting them to fire. There's only 2 rifles, and then we also have he's put them on overwatch as well, watching over where this tank, the only place this tank can get into the compound. And then we're also firing with this section over here, with the 2 firing at the Japanese. So let's start with the 2 rifles under Asquith first of all. 4 5 6s to hit, so that's 1 hit. See what happens. 6 is a kill, 4 is nothing, so they need 5 for shock. And then we've got these guys over here with the LMG and a couple of rifles as well. 4 5 6s are hits again, so that's 4 hits. Let's see, any kills or shock? Neither. They are doing it terribly when it comes to actually firing, these Australians, unfortunately. Now the Japanese have got their tank on the table, they may be able to get some things more shifted again. So let's have a look. 6 is doing nothing. We've got 2 and a 2, a junior leader and a junior leader. So 2 sections and 2 junior leaders. So at least I can get stuff moving forward again, try to get them back into an attacking position. With that good spread, the Japanese have managed to push in really close on the Australian compound at this point. This section cleared the jungle, they're in the open now, and they're moving towards the edge of the compound. Supported by the Type 95, which went at full speed down the road and has turned. This is now going to take a shot from the boys anti-tank rifle in the pig pen. But then they've also got the Japanese section over here, which is going to fire again at Lieutenant Asquith and his men in there. But let's do the firing on the boys because they're on overwatch, so they can take that off. They need a 5. That moved at flat out in this phase or the previous, so it's a +1. So they actually need a 6 or above to hit it. 5 is a miss. That might be one of their last chances to do anything. But anyway, we've got the Japanese here firing. They're firing rifles and LMG into the remainder of this section here. Let's see what we do. We've got 4 5 6 as a hit, and we are on 2 4 6 hits there. So we re-roll these. 6 as a kills, 5 is shock. So that's 1 kill and 1 shock. get that shock on. Keep having that and keep taking it off. So there's the shock. The kill is there is a junior leader and senior leader both in there. So let's roll for them. See if it's the junior leader. On a 1 he's hit. No. On a 1 it's Asquith. No, it's not. So it's the final rifleman in there. So there's only a junior leader. So that is a team wiped out, actually. So that is a bad things happen for the Australians. So we'll roll on that table and see what happens. So the section is wiped out at this point. Let's see what that gives us. A 1. That's -1 on their force morale. The Australians are suffering terribly with their firing in this game. So let's just see if they can turn that around. Well, 2 6s, they retain the phase, and 3 chain of command points. That gives them 7 in total. So they've got a full chain of command dice and an extra 1. So they could use that possibly to do something with. They retain the phase, so it goes straight on to their next phase because they didn't have anything else they could do. So let's see what this one does. 6 does nothing. Another chain of command points. So they could actually spend that to end the turn. So that would make it easier to bring other units on. 5. There we go. We spent that. So we've got a 2 and 2 1s. So that is a section and 2 teams. We could end the turn and bring on potentially try to bring on another section, but that would be the next phase. So let's do that. We'll spend the chain of command point. So the turn is ended. The barrage is over. So they can actually try to bring things on a bit easier. But they will try to bring on their other boys anti-tank rifle for one of these teams. So we'll roll for that. 4, 5 or 6 they can do it anyway. Let's have a look. That is a 3. So no, they can't bring that on. But at least they could operate their other boys anti-tank rifle and a section as well. So we've got the section first of all firing at the Japanese in the jungle. So we'll just get that done. 4, 5, 6 as a hits. We are, oh, that's quite a lot of hits there. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 hits, and this is 6 as a kills. Oh, we got 5. That is 1 shock. So again, desultory firing from the Australians. So that is in 1 shock. Their next one is their boys anti-tank rifle. That's firing at the Hargo again. Same again, it needs a 6 or above because it moved at full speed. So let's see, 6 or above. This is time it's a hit. This actually has an AP penetration of 3 dice, so it needs 5s and 6s to cause any damage because he's firing at the front. So that's 2 hits, 2 net hits. The Hargo has 2 armour. So this needs to get 5s and 6s to save those. That's no saves. So that's actually 2 net hits on the tank itself. So then we roll again. That's a 6. Main gun is out of action for the rest of the game. So that tank has suddenly become absolutely useless. I think it may have got a vehicle machine gun, but I'm not sure. Let's just have a quick check of that. No, it doesn't have a secondary gun, so it's basically rendered useless completely. Literally no point having that on the table now. So well done the boys team. Right, we're back on with the Japanese. With their big hunk of metal that shoots us, but let's see what they get anyway. So we got a chain of command points, so that's taking them up to 2. Slowly. 4 is senior commander, 3 is junior leader, and a 2 and a 1, which could be combined into a junior commander as well, junior leader. Alright, let's have a look at what they can do with that. It's probably quite a bit, to be honest. Okay, the Japanese have moved up their rear section using their senior commander. He's brought them forward, senior leader. They will then fire with this section into this building. Meanwhile, this section has launched an attack against the boys and Lieutenant Asquith and the junior leader there as well. So we'll sort this one out first of all. The Japanese are rolling 20 dice in their first round. So let's just get those together. The Australians, despite the fact they've only got 4 men, are rolling 18 dice. So it could be pretty close, but the Japanese only need to kill 4 figures, 4 men to destroy them really. So let's just see. Let's see what happens. Or we can take that shock off because that was part of the section. Let's get rid of that. So we've got 5s and 6s are kills, with 6s being shock. So let's get rid of nones kills. Let's see how many they do. Oh, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 kills. So 2 will be on these two, first of all. So that's another 7 left over. Between them, they can only take 6 wounds maximum. So that has killed both of them two. Lieutenant Asquith is also dead. Now he's been killed in the action. But let's see. We'll have to do a bad things happen roll for the Australians here. But let's see what happens for their roll. Now we said they had 18, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and another 8. So same again, 5s and 6s are kills with 6s causing shock. Let's get these rolled and see what happens. Oh, nowhere near as good as the Japanese by initial looks. Yeah, this is not looking good so far. A relatively small number. So we have 5 kills and 2 shock. So first of all, let's put the shock on them. We've got 5 kills. There is a junior leader in there, so let's see if he is one of the ones that is hit. 1 to 5 he is. No, he's not actually, so it's just 5 of the others. So we'll take them, and then one more hit. So the Japanese have won that round of combat, quite obviously. The Australians, on the other hand, have taken some very bad hits there. So we have a junior leader and a senior leader killed, and a team wiped out. So let's have a look at the team wiped out first of all. Roll for that. 4, 5, 6 is minus 1 point on their force morale. So nothing, 1 or 2. We've got a junior leader killed. 1 to 3 is 1 point, 4 to 6 is 2 points off. So that's 2 points off. So let's keep a tally of this. And then Asquith being killed, senior leader killed, is, he could go up to 3 points off this if he rolls a 6. 5, that's another 2 points off. So that's 4 points off the Australian morale. That's bringing them straight down to 3. That reduces their number of dice they can roll. So that has been pretty bad for them. An absolute shocker there that Asquith was killed as well. Well, he was in the thick of the fighting, so what can you expect? Then we've also got the firing from the section over here. So we've got the box-fed LMG. These are just firing at the ones that are in the window. So there's only really 4 they can hit. But they also have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 rifles. 2, 4, 6, 7 rifles. So we're looking at 4, 5s and 6s to hit. And we go, again, get rid of our misses. So that's a reasonable number of hits. That's 5, 6, 7, 8 hits. They're in hard cover. Sorry, there is an LMG team and there is also a rifle in there. So we'll do the rifles. 6s are kills. That's no kills, no shock. And then we've got the LMG team as well. 6s are kills, 5 is shock. So 1 kill on the LMG team and also shock on it as well. So that's for the LMG team, and one of their men is killed. Well, with that blow, the Australians, before they roll their dice, they're going to withdraw from the table. There's no point holding on to this position anymore. The lieutenant's dead, they've had a section wiped out, and a boy's anti-tank rifle. So this section in here will withdraw to this jumping off point here, because they can trace a 12-inch line to it. They're just within 6 inches of these Japanese, but I'm going to allow them because they're coming out to the back of this building, so they've kind of got cover from that, so I'm going to allow that. But the Japanese were able to press right up against the edge of this building. The Australians are going to have to fall back. I'll have to roll to see if a new senior leader appears for the Australians in the next turn. But this is the state of play at the end of this game. An absolute clear Japanese victory. They hardly took any casualties, and they managed to wipe out, again, a third of the Australians. So I really don't think the Australians are going to get much of a fighting chance in the next one, which is, I think, a bridge attack. But we'll have to see what happens with that. In the meanwhile, thank you very much for watching this. I really enjoyed this game. Another exciting game in the Malaya campaign. Disappointing loss for the Australians again. But it's mirroring history completely. And thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please, if you don't subscribe already, please do subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos in this series. And on to the next one. We'll see what happens next. See if that's another Japanese victory or not.